This is a quick video. I'm at Harlow Garden Centre, just by Hastingwood Junction on the M11 here, and just doing a quick film of the miniature railway at the garden centre here. So I'm doing this a bit back to front, but you can see here there's some track laying going in progress, and it looks like they're going to plan a track extension round this quite large open area of the allotments, not the allotments here, allotments on my mind, of the garden centre. So this was always planted up as a garden area. I think what it is, it's sort of to break a lot of the noise from the motorway as well. So you can see they've got lots of extra track here. So there's a forks off to the right here, and then the other point takes you round to the main sort of loop. So you've got all signalling, trackside signage, got speed restrictions on track. It's all been really well laid as well. I noticed when they were laying it, they lifted a lot of turf and a lot of ballast went down, and the track work looks quite good. And obviously it's a work in progress, so they might need a bit of, well, they'll need regular maintenance anyway, so keep things nice and level. It's been quite strange with COVID, it hasn't really been used an awful amount. So you see you've got signalling here, and then to my left there you've got the garden centre car park there and the garden centre entrance beyond, and then there's a shipping container that's got some rolling stock and like an engine shed, and that's their main station. That's where you get your tickets, and then you go around this loop. So I'm going to go around backwards. I don't know why, it's just that's where I started, and it was quite long, so when I first paced around I didn't fancy walking around again, so I'll go around backwards. There's a little shed here, Hastingwood Junction, little stop. So it's somewhere you can pick up the engine. I'm not sure about the gauge. Let's have a look. What would that be? It's quite big. Quite solid rails though. And it's all ballasted. So I'll just walk around this way. So you can see there's a loop there that disappears off behind that hedgerow. And then that's where it will come out after we go around the main loop, and then you can go back to the station again. So it's quite extensive. I'm really quite impressed with what they've done. The limit of shunt there, so they know they're clearing the points with the length of the train. You've got the point levers here, and then you can see that's where the loop goes back around the other way. So it's quite long. I walk fairly briskly. You can see they've got all electric signalling here. I don't know what the history of this is. I was speaking to one of the volunteers here, and he mentioned that it was previously, I don't know if it's a pub garden or someone, must have had a big green space, and then it was going to be put in or installed in the Epping-Ongar Railway. I think they had a little demonstration track layout there, but then this is its new home, so it's really quite extensive now. So you've got another siding going off that way. Belvedere North, a little station. It's quite noisy here because it's right by the motorway. So I suppose the trees are losing their leaves, so it's not as much of a sound break. There's no trains running today, so I'm quite safe. There's what's going to be a little tunnel, I suppose. That'd be quite nice when it's planted up. All the kids will be going whoop whoop, as they do. Probably shouldn't be walking on the track. Keep arms and feet in, tunnel approaching. Let's see if you're going backwards. You've got another point here, so I don't know where that one's going to go. Yeah, so you can see I've been walking at a good pace, and I'm not even halfway around, so it's quite good. Well, I think something like this would It reminds me of the 15-inch estate railways, the little Victorian steam engines, the Hayward sort of steam engines, which predates all the internal combustion and dump trucks and things like that. So large estates, to maintain them and move all the equipment around and all the compost and plants and trees and things, they'd install these little tiny railways. So there's a little pedestrian crossing here, so that's the car park, and you can see again it's there's a little crossing so you don't trip over the rails. Keep crossing clear. So someone's really spent a long time making all these little details and painting them all, cutting out the little signs and things. It's fantastic. Yeah, so I was going to say, if the little Hayward engines, they ran on a little 15-inch gauge, and because they were little 040 locomotives, they could really negotiate really tight little curves. So you could almost have them. I didn't realise there's such a big pond here. It's quite nice. It's funny because it's got a meander. It's a lot larger than you think it is. So I've never even seen that bit. It's all been cleared, so it's got lots of logs, piles and things. But these little locomotives, they could meander around estates and things like that. So, and also obviously when you run rail tracks, you can run you do all the levelling, you put a nice track in so it's nice and smooth, and you don't need much power to actually move things around. So a little wagon like this can carry a lot of weight, and you could probably push it along with just one hand. Imagine if you had a wheelbarrow and it's a bit muddy or something like that, you'd bog in, you'd be slipping over. So you lay your little rails down, and obviously it's just on ballast and wooden sleepers, and then you can shift stuff around quite successfully. I think for there's a little village here, there's obviously a growing concern. We've got more bits and pieces going on. So this is Lakes Junction West because of the lake. Yeah, so you can actually, even though it looks like a novelty thing, something like this, if you had to move, I don't know, a builder's bag of soil or whatever, you could load it up onto a flatbed wagon, you could scoot it along, and if you're doing something like that where it was a weekly deliveries, it would really make things a lot easier. And I think for community gardens where they've got like a composting area, it would be ideal to have just even like scaffold tubes permanently set up where you're wheelbarrowing stuff. And you could even use wood chip as just a sort of ballast in between the sleepers. You could even lay it on fence posts and things like that, as long as you've got your sleepers to keep the rails the right distance apart. I think that will work quite well, and obviously it would be, in terms of community garden and educational sort of experiences and things, you could have electric little locos and things like that to move stuff about, and electric bike hub motors, and you could repurpose all sorts of things, and old lawnmower engines and stuff. Amazing. But what is quite fun as well, it's obviously little modular engineers in their sort of workshops and garages. They've been making all the sort of rolling stock and things like that, but it's quite simple. Look, it's only plywood. You could even use buffalo board and angle iron. The only thing is the rolling gear is the wheels and things are cast normally or machined. But if you're just trundling along, you don't need anything sophisticated. They haven't got to run true particularly. They're not going to be overheating bearings and stuff. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. And you can see that's got a little rope on it, so they can just lug that along by hand. But if you imagine the weight of that, that'd be half a ton or something in there, and you can just scoot that about. And I don't know what that is beyond there, some sort of industrial, oh, it's a turntable base. So yeah, it's got a load of equipment here. And look at the track work. It's like Hornsey goods yard in the height of steam. But yeah, you can see the steel sheds here, and then they've got little works for the ballast and things. And the old BR sign. And they've got little tiny trucks and wagons. Yeah, quite impressed by this. I don't know what that is. That looks like a compost area. Oh, it's rolling stock. Can we have a little sneaky look? Lovely. It's pinstriped and monograms. Fantastic. There's a little water tower there. That must be for emergency water for topping up the locomotives and things like that. So you could have gala days with visiting locomotives and things like that, and that's quite nice because they can come straight off the vans and the lorries, and they can load them straight up and roll them down here and then back them up onto these little sidings so they can be steaming up while the other locomotives are putting sort of passenger services, and then they can alternate and swap over. Yes, yeah, so it's really good fun. You just have a little look around. There's a little picnic area here, and then I'm actually on the station. It's probably got a more regular service than the Central line, especially holidays and weekends. Station building looks a bit like a shed, but obviously that's something that could be added to over the time. There you go. So you can see you got all this area here, so it looks like it's going to come round, and I would have thought it would meander around here, and then they could really make a feature out of that big sort of paddock really. You come back there and join up. Yeah, so this is I don't know what the name of the railway is. Doesn't seem to have much. Northweald and District Miniature Railway. And there's a QR code there. I think that's for your donations. Halloween specials. Follow us on Facebook. I'll take one of these and I'll put the details on the YouTube as well. NWDMR.co.uk. Northweald and District Miniature Railway. Excellent. And this is just garden centre stuff. And that's Hastings Central. Excellent. Good to see. Health and safety. Dry powder extinguishers. Steam locomotives. I'll probably do another update when they've got something going. And it's Northweald Airfield, so you've got the aircraft going overhead. Well, once again, thanks for watching. It's worth a trip down. The garden centre is nice, and they've got a little tea rooms here as well. You can buy some plants. Cheers.